As the market continues to become oversaturated with so many crossover SUVs, auto manufacturers are scrambling in order to build a vehicle that will attract those younger, urban active lifestyle consumers. Hyundai is certainly no stranger to those buyers. The company has been building exceptional new products for the last decade or so. And for 2022, Hyundai is reviving a segment of vehicle that we haven't seen for over 15 years, and that's the compact sport utility truck. The last one that we saw was technically the Subaru Baja. And as you can see, I'm just outside of San Francisco with Hyundai with this all-new 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's a vehicle that's built off of the existing Tucson platform. And as you can see, it's a small urban lifestyle truck that's designed to be a little bit smaller than something like even a Toyota Tacoma and a Nissan Frontier. So if you guys are a younger urban active lifestyle consumer and you want something that's entirely different, how does this new sports adventure vehicle stack up? Stay tuned to find out. So a couple months ago, I was in Tucson to drive the new Tucson, and this time I'm actually heading towards Santa Cruz in the new Santa Cruz. As you can see, Hyundai is pretty clever like that. However, clever really shows off the design with this all-new 2022 Santa Cruz, because as you can see, if you guys like the bold look of the Tucson, this vehicle has pretty much the exact same front fascia. Now, of course, this is a new sport utility truck that will be going head-to-head with the new Ford Maverick. That Maverick will be coming out later this fall. This is heading to dealer showrooms right now as we speak, so you can pick one of these up a little bit sooner versus its Ford competition. Now, this particular one that I'm showing you is known as the Santa Cruz Limited. It's the top-of-the-line model. It does come standard with the company's turbocharged engine, which we'll get under the hood in just a moment, but I want to talk about the front styling of this vehicle because, as you can see, this has the new bold front fascia of Hyundai's new design language. You have this wonderful looking grille, which is an evolution of their Cascade waterfall style grille. You can see the LED running lights are actually integrated into the grille elements. So when this vehicle's headlights turn on or when the vehicle turns on, these little areas here will light up, and it's a very cool geometric shape. It's what Hyundai's been doing over the years. The headlights are actually down here in the lower part. They're full LEDs, they're LED low and high beams, LED turn signals. No fog lights on this vehicle, but you can see I really like the kind of black chrome that they put along with the black accents. It really contrasts nicely with this ice white exterior color. When Hyundai first launched this car, they launched it in that sage gray, which is kind of like a greenish gray. I actually really like this lighter color, which really shows off the bold proportions of this vehicle. It makes it stand out. Unlike a vehicle like the Honda Ridgeline, which Honda has kind of been struggling since they introduced the second generation with the design, this vehicle definitely stands out, and it's a much smaller vehicle than something like the Ridgeline. Now, looking at the side profile, you can see from basically this area up until the rear doors or the front doors, it's a Tucson, but from there on forward, Hyundai has changed the styling of this vehicle because they made it around 13 inches longer. Its wheelbase is around 118 inches long. Its overall length is around 195 inches long. This is about the same size as the Palisade, or about an inch shorter. And compared to the new Ford Maverick, this is around 5 inches shorter. It's around 15 inches shorter than something like a Toyota Tacoma or a Nissan Frontier. So as you can see, this is definitely a smaller truck, and it's going to reignite a new segment, because I think a lot of people are looking for a sized truck like this, especially if you want an SUV, but you need a place to put, you know, dirtier items like anything for your lawn maintenance, a mountain bike perhaps, or any kind of like muddy shoes. Now, looking at the wheels, Hyundai will offer the Santa Cruz in two different wheel options. An 18-inch wheel will be standard. That's the one you're going to want on the baser trims if you guys plan to go off-roading. This is the 20-inch wheel that you get with the limited model, and it also has a really cool geometric shape. They're wrapped in two 50 series tires. I really love the way the wheels look, but you should know that this is probably not the one you're going to want if you're planning to go off-road a lot. Speaking of off-roading, their H-Track all-wheel drive system is available on all engines, which is something that Ford doesn't offer with the Maverick. And with the all-wheel drive system, you get around 8.6 inches of ground clearance. So decent ground clearance, but remember, you're not going to be taking this kind of truck off-roading like you would a Toyota Tacoma or a Nissan Frontier. Now you can see there's these really nicely integrated roof rails over here, which I believe Hyundai will offer a lot of accessories to give you roof rail crossbars. There's a standard size sunroof on this vehicle, but if you're looking for a pano roof, it's not available. And like a lot of other smaller trucks, you only get it with 4 full-size doors. So you can only get it with this crew cab configuration, which is nice because this is going to give you the space that you want on the inside. Over here you can see completely different styling versus the Tucson. Love the fact that the bed has this really nice integrated tonneau cover. Hyundai says this tonneau cover is waterproof, although I don't exactly think that it's going to be waterproof if you took it through like a car wash. Probably if it rains on it, water shouldn't enter, and it's also strong enough to hold my, or it's Hyundai didn't disclose how much weight it could hold, but they said it's strong enough for a human being to stand. I'm not entirely sure how heavy that person could be, but you can feel it's a really nice sturdy lid, which really is going to allow for secured cargo area. Now, looking at the design of the rear, you can see the taillights are a really interesting design where it almost has kind of like this arrow incorporated into it. It's an LED combination with incandescent. You have Santa Cruz spelled out in the back. There's a 2.5T badge back here to show everyone that you have the turbo model. And I also like the design of the rear bumper. It has these very nice step plates. There's a nice little step area right here, kind of like what Chevy does on their Silverado or their Colorado as well. The exhaust is kind of hidden underneath here, which is fine. You don't really need to have a visible exhaust tip on a pickup truck. And you can see when you open up the bed is only available in one length. Now you can see it is a nice damped tailgate. It's around 4.3 feet long. So this is a little bit shorter than something like the Ford Maverick and a Toyota Tacoma. Most of the compact trucks or mid-sized trucks have a 5 or 6 foot bed. So obviously this bed isn't quite useful. However, it should be useful for those of you who need an SUV but want something that's, again, a little bit more durable where you could put dirtier items. Now, the bed cover here, you can see, you just pull this and then it slides right back. Now, obviously it does take up a little bit of space back there if you do want this bed cover. I believe it is optional. It's standard on this fully loaded top trim. You can see the bed is made of a composite material that reminds me a lot of the Honda Ridgeline, although it's just not quite as big. What it does give you is this clever little underfloor storage area, which does include a drain plug. There's 2 drain plugs in there. It's not quite as deep as what you get in the Ridgeline, but I love that Hyundai did incorporate this. This is something that the Ford Maverick is not going to offer. So those of you who want some underfloor storage that is covered and water sealable, this is something that you're going to want to obviously look at. Now, unlike the Ridgeline, the bed doesn't actually open up in 2 different ways. So they don't give you that split opening design, which is fine. Now, because of this step here, it makes getting into the bed pretty easy, which is good because the fact that the tailgate doesn't open in 2 ways like the Honda makes it a little bit more challenging. Now, in terms of the payload capacity, Hyundai says that this truck will hold a maximum of just under 1,700 pounds. 1,700 pounds is more than some full-size trucks. That's a little bit surprising to me, but they also did mention that the payload capacity depends on how many people you have in the actual truck. If you have 2 or more people, the payload capacity is going to drop to around 660 pounds. And I also want to apologize about the background noise. There are these smaller planes that keep flying over the area where we're shooting here just outside of Palo Alto. But I also want to test out Hyundai's claim here because they said this cover should be able to hold some weight to it. Now, when you finally get it to close, I'm going to go ahead and sit my fat ass on here and see if it can hold me. And I weigh about 165 pounds, so it feels pretty sturdy to me. So this little tonneau cover here is a really nice addition, and it's going to give you some nice lockable covered storage inside the bed of your Santa Cruz. So if you guys have spent some time in the interior of the new Tucson, this interior of the Santa Cruz is going to look very familiar because it's practically identical. But let me hop into this limited version and show you some of the key differences between this and the Tucson. But now Hyundai actually only offers this limited trim with this black interior, and I do hope they consider offering it with a little more color options. This particular one here that I'm showing you is basically an all black interior, and the windows are tinted so it appears a little bit darker. Here's the key fob for the vehicle. It's the same key fob, newer key that you see on a lot of other Hyundai products. When I shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, so I really like how that gives you an impression of quality. To start the vehicle up, the button to fire up the engine is right here behind the steering wheel where you'd expect it to be. And you can see this limited grade version gives you 2 displays. There's a 12-inch display right here in the center stack or in the instrument panel, and then a 10.25-inch display here that's part of the latest Hyundai infotainment system. It does include Android Auto and CarPlay, but it is a wired connection. If you guys go for the smaller 8-inch screen, that does include wireless Apple CarPlay configuration, but for some reason with the bigger one, Hyundai requires you to actually plug in a cord. Now, in terms of the interior materials, they are actually pretty nice. I mean, this cabin has the same layout as the new Tucson with the vents here. They're kind of integrated into the overall winged shape. The materials here are soft touch injection molded plastic on the upper and lower portion. You have a lot of piano black plastic trim. This right here is also a soft touch injection molded plastic, silver painted plastic for the door handles. The window controls, it's one touch up and down for the front, but the back are not power. It's power, but it's not a one-touch feature. More piano black plastic trim. It's nice and padded over here. The steering wheel is a tilt and telescoping, which is nice. It gives you a really nice amount of range for adjustability. I just sat in the new Frontier, and that didn't even offer a telescoping steering wheel. It was only a tilt, which really affected the driving position for me. This, I can kind of get in. You feel like you're sitting up high. It's a really comfortable driving position, and unlike the Tucson, which had the push-button transmission controller, this has an actual shifter, a traditional shifter here. If you put it into reverse, you can see you get a full 360 camera, which is nice. The resolution and the quality of the camera is also really good. Right now the bed is down. You can see exactly where your sides are. That'd be great, honestly, if you're planning to tow with this vehicle, you're planning to take it off-road. You can use those camera views pretty well. The graphics and resolution of this map display is pretty good. It's about what I expect in the mainstream segment. You can see Hyundai's done a great job of making this a lot quicker, a lot snappier. I love the resolution as well. Hyundai says that the screens here are so bright that you don't have to necessarily have a hood, which is why there's no instrument panel hood here. And this right here is kind of just very nicely integrated, but it also doesn't kind of give you that stupid tablet-like screen that sticks out like an iPad, which some of you don't really like. This is all, of course, really, really great in terms of the design. There's some touch-sensitive buttons back here. You can see there's a touch-sensitive button for the volume, the power on and off switch. There's dual-zone climate control right here. Your heated and ventilated seat option is right here. You can see there's 3 levels, which is really rare in this segment of vehicles. So I like the fact that they included that along with a heated steering wheel. There's a 4-wheel drive lock switch here, and then your drive mode selector is right here. You can see there's a normal, a sport, and a smart mode. And then you can kind of change the way the gauge display looks, or you can link it to the drive mode. That's all very nice, very similar, like I said, to the new Tucson. Over here in the center console, you can see if you open this up, it's pretty deep storage. This is a nice padded area with some leatherette. This is a real genuine leather material. And then right here, you can see there's some nice LED lighting in the cabin. There's a standard size sunroof here that lets in a good amount of light. And then over here on the glove compartment, you can see it's a bin style. It's huge, it's damped, but not lined with felt. So overall, this cabin, pretty much identical to the new Tucson, very roomy, really easy to see out of. Great ergonomics. It's very car-like in here, which if you guys prefer that, you're going to like that. So compared to the new Maverick, which I just sat in at the Chicago Auto Show, this has a slightly different feel. But I think a lot of people are going to enjoy the amount of space, the amount of tech, and how easy it is all to use. So the new Santa Cruz only comes as a crew cab configuration, which is great because most people are going to buy this anyways. Now it's a pickup truck, and you probably want to know, is there any storage underneath this seat? Now if I flip this up, there's a little strap here that you pull. The other side also flips up as well. There's a nice little storage area right here, which isn't covered, but it is pretty deep. You could put some wet shoes back here, or some dirty gardening tools or whatnot. But folding this seat down, let me get back here, because Hyundai says you get around 36.5 inches of legroom back here. So 36.5 is a pretty good amount. I'm 5'7". I can get back here and get comfortable pretty easy. There's also a good amount of headroom. In terms of features back here, it's pretty Spartan, but you do have rear seat air vents back here. There's 2 USB charging ports. The floor here is not completely flat, but you could put 3 people across. There's 2 map pockets here. Materials are hard touch plastic here on this upper portion of the door panel. It is soft touch right here where my elbows would rest. And then over here, surprised to see that there's no armrest. It actually looks like there should be an armrest. I think Hyundai could have added it. And they did give you a nice little sliding window here. It is manual, but it's nice that they kind of give you this little pass through here. I kind of wish that Hyundai would offer like a sliding window. That's something that Toyota offers, but like a full sliding window. But it is nice that they at least give you this little small window that kind of opens to let in some more air. Now, as a sports adventure vehicle, you might be wondering what is powering the all-new Santa Cruz. Now, Hyundai is going to offer a choice of 2 different powertrains. The base version will be a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with direct and port injection. That makes 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque. That is the base motor. You can get it with either front-wheel drive or H-Track all-wheel drive for $1,500. That comes standard with an 8-speed automatic transmission. This one here is the motor that I think most people are going to buy. It is going to cost a pretty penny compared to the base 2.5, but this is a 2.5-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder. It's part of their new Smart Stream engine technology. This is the same motor that you're going to find in something like the Hyundai Sonata N-Line or a Kia Sorento. It's a great powertrain. It comes standard with the company's 8-speed wet dual clutch transmission. So this is one of the only pickup trucks in the segment that has a dual clutch, which should give this truck some pretty interesting performance. We'll be getting out on the road, obviously, and driving it. The numbers are impressive: 281 horsepower, so nearly 100 more horsepower over the base engine, and a stout 311 pound-feet of torque. That torque number is more impressive than something like the new Frontier or something like a Toyota Tacoma. So a great amount of torque. Front-wheel drive is standard on this powertrain. You can also get H-Track all-wheel drive. That is an additional extra. This one here that I'm driving is the company's all-wheel drive system. And in terms of fuel economy, this is rated to get 19 in the city, 27 on the highway, which is not bad. You can actually put regular gas on this vehicle, and Hyundai says it actually will tow a good amount. The base engine will tow a maximum of 3,500 pounds. This one here will tow a maximum of 5,000 pounds, which is pretty impressive considering the size. As this one sits, it's also a relatively heavier vehicle. It weighs in at just over 4,100 pounds, or around 500 pounds heavier than a Tucson. So finally behind the wheel of the all-new Santa Cruz, and this is interesting because I actually just drove a couple days ago the new Nissan Frontier, and while you can't directly compare a real truck body-on-frame vehicle to a unibody vehicle like this, it is interesting to kind of get the perspective because the new Frontier is still fresh in my mind. And the beauty about the new Santa Cruz obviously is its car-based platform. This thing rides and handles like an even better Tucson. The new Tucson is one of my favorite driving compact SUVs. And this vehicle, because it's 13 inches longer, you can feel that length, but you also really notice how planted this vehicle feels. It has a really nice, comfortable, controlled ride. It has great steering. It's very car-like and sporty feeling. And with this turbo engine, it's also pretty quick. The 311 pound-feet of torque that this engine offers really shoves you back in the seat, and the 8-speed wet dual-clutch transmission is unique in this segment. I mean, sure, some of you purists out there are probably saying, like, why would you have a dual-clutch in a truck? It's not best for towing and handling. But remember, this is supposed to be more of that lifestyle kind of truck. So it's designed for somebody who wants a crossover or who needs a crossover, but wants something that with an open bed so you can put, you know, dirty things back there, like muddy items. So you don't have to worry about getting the cargo area of your SUV dirty with something like this. Now, as we go around these curvy roads here, you're really noticing just how sporty feeling this thing feels for a truck. Of course, it's a relative term because trucks in general always feel a little cumbersome. They always feel like a little tippy, they feel heavy. And this, even at 4,100 pounds, it really masks the weight a lot. I don't feel like I'm piloting a vehicle that weighs over 4,000 pounds. In fact, the transmission here, even in these situations, does a really good job of just holding the higher gear when you have it in sport mode. You also have these paddles, which do a really good job of downshifting, of blipping the throttle when you pull the paddle. So this is all very unexpected. It's also, I think, going to appeal to a lot of the type of buyers that is going to look at this type of truck, in quotation marks. It's just a really pleasant driving vehicle. Now, obviously, some of you may be wondering, well, how is it going to handle when you are off-roading it? How is it going to handle when you're taking it or when you're towing with it? Hyundai doesn't have something like that set up for us now, but I imagine most owners of this type of vehicle probably won't be doing that too often. So I'm not getting the opportunity to drive the smaller or the non-turbocharged engine with its 8-speed auto, but I have driven that engine in the new Tucson. And I have to say, I wasn't impressed with it in the Tucson. In a vehicle that's heavier and it's going to be towing and hauling heavier loads, I probably would say skip the base engine, at least go with this turbo. It offers the perfect amount of power for a vehicle like this. But in terms of the rest of the driving dynamics, I can see out of the Santa Cruz very well. It's got a very low hood. You also get a sense that you are sitting up high. You get 8.6 inches of ground clearance, and it feels like I'm in a truck, and that's kind of the biggest difference, because I actually drove the Subaru Baja back then in 2006 many times, and that just felt like a car that had a bed on the back. This does sit up higher. It gives you that higher seating position. It gives you that feeling of capability that you just didn't get in the Subaru. I think that's where Hyundai kind of did it right, and also the styling of this vehicle. It gets a good amount of attention out there because it's just a very good-looking, you know, sport utility truck. The front end is really, really distinctive. I love the running lights on it. I love the seats in this vehicle as well. The interior feels very comfortable. The steering is the same steering wheel off the Tucson. It's a heated wheel. You have heated and cooled seats. The one thing it is missing is ventilated seats. I do wish it offered memory seats. Yes.
Memory.
Yes. The one thing it's missing are memory seats on the driver's side. I do wish it had memory seats. We have the ventilated seats. The passenger seat is also non-power. I have an 8-way power on this driver's side here. But other than that, it's comfortable, it's quiet, it's refined, it's got plenty of power, it's easy to drive, it's got the safety tech that you expect. The Hyundai sensing active driver assistance is all included on this trim, and it all works really well, much better than any of the other, you know, bigger mid-sized trucks and what they have to offer. But and when you find a back road like this, you put your foot down, that turbo just gives you so much torque, along with this great dual clutch. I mean, you didn't think you could hustle a truck on a back road like this and have a good time, but it gets me excited to see what the new Ford Maverick is going to drive, because if you guys have always wanted a truck but you hate the way they drive, this is the one type of vehicle you're going to be wanting to add to your shopping list, because it doesn't drive like a truck at all. It just drives like an SUV that's fast, it's sporty, that gives you that bed versatility that you're looking for in the back. So as a sports adventure vehicle, Hyundai was really proud of the fact that they have built this vehicle to appeal to a lot of younger enthusiasts who like to do a lot of active things. I mean, to really show off just how capable this truck is, they brought along a couple of items that people may put in the back. So over there's a Santa Cruz that has 2 surfboards in it. Now, obviously the bed isn't quite long enough to, allow you to close the bed with the surfboards in it, but you can purchase that little accessory piece right here anywhere that'll kind of help protect the bed. It'll allow the surfboards to kind of hang over the back with the bed actually closed. Remember, the bed is around 4.3 feet long, so it's a little bit shorter than most of the other segments. Now, a lot of other people like to put mountain bikes in the back of their pickup truck. Well, the Santa Cruz can also accommodate that. Obviously, you can keep the wheels intact, but the wheels have to kind of go over the truck bed, which with this little nice pad right here, it helps to protect the paint of the actual bed from getting damaged by the wheels, but you can clearly fit 2 mountain bikes back here. Now, obviously, Hyundai said that there are a lot of accessories, and this is the truck that has a lot of accessories on it. It's got the accessory roof rail crossbars. It's got these running boards. It's got this little body side molding here that says Santa Cruz. And then back here's an accessory that I imagine a lot of people are going to purchase. This is the bed extender. This is going to help extend the bed by, I guess, nearly a foot. This is going to give you a little bit more usable space along with the cargo net. This is probably an option that I see a lot of consumers buying, and it really shows off the capability of the new Santa Cruz, because remember, this lifestyle truck is going to start at just around $24,000 plus destination. This is a really attractively priced vehicle, but you should know it's a little bit more expensive than the Ford Maverick. Now, the fully loaded versions that I've been driving today are stickering it for around $41,000. That's basically including everything. You should know that if you want the turbo engine, it's going to cost you around $35,000 for an SEL premium with that turbocharged engine. But after spending the day driving this new vehicle, I'm really impressed with how the new Santa Cruz drives. It drives and handles exactly like the new Tucson, with plenty of power underneath the hood, because remember, you cannot get the Tucson with this 2.5 turbo with the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. It has a ride and handling balance that really puts a lot of regular conventional trucks to shame. And even though it's not going to necessarily go off-road quite as far, it's not going to tow quite as easily, it's not going to have quite as much space on the inside as a full-size truck, I think that Hyundai has designed a vehicle that's going to appeal to those younger buyers that are looking for something that's different than your average crossover, because there are so many crossovers out there in the world, and Hyundai really developed something that's going to truly stand out in the segment. And if you guys are looking to pick one of these up, they are heading to your local dealers now from a base price, as I mentioned earlier, from $25,000 all the way up to around $41,000 for this fully loaded limited version. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.